Welcome to the channel. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Today we are looking at a fresh and hot new release from a brand which is absolutely killing it right now. I am of course talking about WatchDives. I will be the first to say that when they first came out, I didn't take them too seriously. The name obviously didn't help, but very quickly they are a brand to take very seriously because they have given us the highest quality possible at the low and often sub £100 price point, which is unmatched by anybody else within that bracket. So the new release is the WD1965. It's based on one of my most favorite watches ever and one of the most iconic divers ever to be released. That's right, we're talking about the 62 Mas. Now, followers of the channel know I have done countless reviews and comparisons on the 62 Mas style of watch. I think I've compared almost every single one that has been released, minus the one from Armida watches. And I will tell you now, this is quite possibly the best one yet. Everything has been taken into consideration to what I deem a good 62 Mas homage to be. We're talking dimensions foremost, then specification and finishing. Now, all this compared to the price. So let's get into this. Dimensions wise, this is the most important aspect for me. I want this style of watch to have accurate dimensions. Now this one comes in not far off at all. You have a 37mm case with a 38mm diameter at the bezel. We've got a thickness of just 11.2 or 11.3 millimeters and a lug to lug of 45.5 with a 20mm lug width. Now, the one key dimensions that stands out here is, of course, that thickness. From all the homages we've had, they've all featured the Seiko NH35 and they've been around the 13mm mark, if not more. Now, this one is thin due to that movement. This is something WatchDives are doing pretty much to everything, making them with the Seiko VH31 hybrid quartz movement. Now, by now you should know what that is. Essentially, the best thing about it is this 4 tick a second sweep, which mimics an automatic watch, but with the quartz reliability and accuracy. Now, this movement is also a dateless movement, which means you get no ghost position and a perfectly symmetrical dial. Also got a lubed aluminium bezel insert. Worth noting that it is matte, so no shiny glare, and I also prefer the aluminium on the 62s due to that vintage nod. You've also got a domed sapphire crystal, 200 meters of water resistance, which means a screw down crown and a screw down case back. Now, bracelet wise, you get female end links fitted into the case with drill lugs and a 5 micro adjustable fold over milled clasp. Now, I believe they've captured everything. Let me just remind you that when San Martin did their cost reduced version, they omitted the drill lugs. Cost of all this is under £80 and it is shocking. We're getting too desensitized to these ridiculously low prices on AliExpress. If you actually think about it, this is an extremely cheap price for what you actually get. You can't even get a Timex as low as this. Now, in terms of colorways, we have a black, silver, and we also got this gorgeous and probably the best dial, the brown. All are in a subtle sunray dial, and the brown is definitely the new black. I've somehow built up an obsession of brown dials recently. Now, because this watch has just been released, there's a few stores which have them. Some colors are not available. Some stores have an additional color, which is this blue and yellow, which looks very good. So I'll add a few links so you can get to choose the right one. Now, I've spent a little bit of time with this and really looked over the points which are important to me as a Seiko enthusiast and someone who really likes that vintage 62. It's one of the reasons I highly rate the one from 54 watch. So with all that in mind, this is actually incredible. They've got the size just right. Another key thing is that they've managed to make a bracelet which looks good on the watch. I've always said both the 6105 and the 62 only look good on a rubber watch strap, but this is changing my mind. The end links do have that awkward convex curve which has a very tight fit. You got female end links and yet they have kept the bracelet simple. There's no weird style of links, just a plain old 3-link design with immaculate soft linear brushing which works brilliantly. The bracelet also tapers down to 16mm, which gives you a nice look and also finish on wrist. Yes, you do have some cost savings. The links, they use split pins, which means you do get a lot of flex, and the bracelet therefore feels a little rattly, but I would take that over the overall look. You also get the proportionate 5 micro adjustment, fold over clasp, high quality of finishing and the branding, and they've also used actually thick spring bars. We're talking at least 1.8mm, which is why you get a really tight fit on the end links. Now moving up to the case, For under £80, you would think it's very basic with poor finishing. Nope. The 40mm from Heimdall or San Martin, those first homages were poor finishing compared to this. They've got the polished highlights along the case, along the top, and also along the bottom. San Martin don't even do this. You've also got satin horizontal brushing along the side and a slightly coarser grain, a circular coarser grain on the surface, which I feel is needed for that 62 mass. The casework is stunning. They've balanced it so well. I mean, the 62 mass is not actually a pretty watch. It is super rudimentary in terms of looks, and it seems like it was just stamped out of some steel back in the 60s. But these guys have added that refinement which brings it up to date in terms of how it feels in hand. Just the fact that you have polished bevels on both sides of the case, this is incredible. There's no way anyone can beat this for under £80. So I'm totally taken back by what they've actually done here. And I didn't think for a second that when they told me they're making one, that would be this good. So let's keep it moving. You've got a reasonably sized signed crown, just over 6mm with really good function. The case back is actually totally sterile and a really low profile thanks to that quartz VH31 movement. Now moving across to the dial and bezel, it's your standard 62 mass style dial. You've got large applied markers with large polished frames with rounded corners. Extremely legible and iconic, of course. The printed logo and text is crisp, but I'm going to make a comment on that conversion at the bottom. A subscriber made this point. The Chinese now need to stop copying this standard of having conversion on the dial as it really isn't needed. I also really like that no date dial. It keeps it very symmetrical, which lets you really appreciate this gorgeous chocolatey brown sunburst dial. Now, brown dials are the one, guys. Very dynamic color. You get so many hues, from a bronze hue to deep tones of mahogany to tones of premium Cadbury's milk chocolate. The handset used is the standard 62 mass style. They're not micro detailed with the brushing down the center, but they don't look flat. Feature bevels on the edges, which gives them a refined appearance. You'll also notice the lume color. It matches and it's a creamy white color, which means they are using BGW9 lume. Lume shot time, and there's nothing to fault here. Very good lume. Not as punchy as some of the competitors, but it is more than adequate. You also get the bonus of a lumed bezel insert, and overall it's very good here. No complaints. Now the bezel itself is coin edge and you've got a decent rotation. Not to my preference, but still very good. Now the pip at 12 does not align on this one I have. It's off by literally just a click. And I know there's a reasonable tolerance involved. I mean, it's not a deal breaker as it is nearly there. So overall, there's nothing really to complain about. I think they've nailed this one. The last bit is to show you on wrist. And of course, given the iconic case and dimensions, the fit is exceptional. It looks really good on the bracelet, really well balanced and very proportionate. It also gives you that vintage appeal when wearing it. Looks wise, that dial is gorgeous and the watch sits perfectly. I couldn't really ask for any more. I've also swapped it out on a new type of strap I've got in. Now I'll link these straps below in the description, and these are the ones that you cut yourself, and they come with a steel buckle which removes that little bit of length you have sticking out. And they've also got this lovely texture along the sides, so please do check them out, and they've got really good price on AliExpress. And this brown one suits this watch perfectly. So to recap, this is the best 62 mass homage out there, taking the specs and the build quality into consideration and comparing it to the price. Nothing is beating this right now. Really impressed with WatchDives' attention to detail here and providing an authentic representation with the modern touches of refinement, and of course giving us this brown dial version. So that's it from me today. Over to you guys. Please let me know your thoughts below and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.